What's going on, everybody? It's EricRayweather back here, and in today's video I'm going to be going over some big changes you can expect with Madden 20 going forward. The game's about to change in a big way for the rest of the year. The way the game plays, kind of the way that you know the game in a sense, it's about to definitely take a big shift, and I'm going to go over why that is today. So if you are new to the channel, however, and you always want to be up to date on the latest news and tips all year long, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you never miss any of these important uploads. So my boy Xerxes actually did a video on this probably about a week ago, but we do have, you know, kind of different audiences. So, you know, I told him, I was like, you know, I'm gonna make a video like this for my people as well, because I know that, like I said, we kind of have different audiences. But if you are a fan of my boy Xerxes, then you probably already saw him talk about this last week. But this is a very important thing, a big change that's about to happen, more so for potentially regular teams, you know, like regular online head-to-head, but and also Ultimate Team. Now, if you're a franchise player, you've probably experienced some of these things already, because in franchise mode, in terms of how abilities work, you know, players have earned like abilities in franchise mode before they've actually hit other modes of the game, because that's just kind of the nature of how franchise mode works. But there's a lot of new abilities that we haven't really seen too much of yet that are about to start kind of making their way into the game. And if you know Madden 20, you know that this game is all about the abilities. If your player doesn't have an ability, he's almost, I don't want to say useless, but you know, that's how they feel. Outside of the speed rating, because speed obviously kills, like Tyreek Hill doesn't have any abilities, but he's the fastest player in the game, so he's still a monster. But outside of that, if you don't have abilities, it feels like, you know, if your pass rushers don't have an ability, they don't rush the passer that well at all. You know, if your quarterback doesn't have escape artist, it doesn't matter how fast he is, really, it seems very hard to get outside the pocket with him. Like Kyler Murray, for example. Trying to escape the pocket with Kyler Murray feels very tough. It doesn't feel like he can outrun pretty much anybody. But with Russell Wilson, who is much slower than Kyler Murray, he gets out the pocket, you can't catch him at all because he has escape artist. So you get the idea. You've played the game. Abilities are pretty much the game this year. They weren't really as balanced as I would hope they would be. I was really excited for them, but they definitely seem like they're not really balanced, and they kind of just take over the game. But the new abilities we're about to start seeing, some of them we've seen a little bit of. These are going to really change how the game plays. So the first one is definitely human joystick. Now, we've just started seeing this creep into the game. If you're an Ultimate Team player, the new Devin Hester card gets it, and the new Brandon Cooks card gets it. Now, what human joystick is it basically, it's one of the craziest things in the game, because it pretty much eliminates any type of resistance when you change direction. So for the entire play, whether you're running the ball, you're catching it, you're returning a punt or a kickoff, whatever it may be, you can change direction at top speed without slowing down, without kind of like any physics, really. Your player is literally like your joystick on your controller. The way you move your joystick is the exact way your player moves. There's no momentum, there's no planting his foot, there's no cutting. He can just literally change on a dime. And with the game, the way it plays, this is a huge thing, because one of the biggest flaws of Madden 20 are the pursuit angles of defenders. Pursuit angles are terrible. That's one of the main reasons the run game is so good this year, because the defenders don't really pursue, you know, logically a lot of the time. So then when you add in a player that literally can move like a joystick, and these players are all fast players, right? These are like 95 speed players, because you have to be, you know, you have to be so good to get an ability like this. So you're a fast player already with high agility, and then you have, you know, the ability to change direction at top speed, versus an entire team of defenders that are gonna pursue the ball carrier poorly as it is. So that's why this is such a huge thing, and we're starting to see it come into Ultimate Team. Like I said, 2 wide receivers have it as of now. Running backs before long are going to be getting this as well. So again, you add in how crazy the run game is with the human joystick running back now. That's pretty crazy. Now, for franchise people, some of you may have seen this already. I was in a CFM a little bit earlier this year, and there were like a couple players that had it. I think like Joe Mixon had it in the franchise that I was in, and I actually played against it, and it was a lot tougher to stop the run, because even when you had good run defense, even when you tried to overcome the bad pursuit, these guys just changed direction so quickly that, you know, it definitely is a problem. Now, talking about the regular game, will they start giving some of these abilities to regular players? Because no one on the regular roster, like regular online head-to-head regular play now, nobody has human joystick, but I could see somebody like Tyreek getting this. Now, Tyreek currently doesn't have any abilities because he was, you know, the scandal or whatever he had at the beginning of the year. They thought he was going to be suspended. So when that stuff happens, when players have suspensions or like have like an ongoing thing, you know, the game can't really like promote them like that. So that's the reason Tyreek doesn't have it. But all of that kind of fell through. So there is a chance he could potentially get something like this on the regular roster. Somebody like Tariq Cohen, if he wasn't having a bad year, I think would have been in line for something like this as well. But he hasn't really like, he lost his abilities because he hasn't been playing like that great this year. But just kind of naming players, a guy like Alvin Kamara, maybe, again, he's not having the greatest year as well, but if he can start putting it together, you could see players like that potentially getting this ability in the regular game. Now, the next ability that's huge is one that most people hate, and it comes back every year, and that's Playmaker. And what Playmaker is you know, your nearest defender, you can point your right joystick and you can tell him where you want him to run on the field. Basically, it's mainly supposed to be used as kind of like when a play breaks down and you're trying to direct the receiver to like get into open space, kind of like the scramble drill, you know, like receivers trying to come back to the ball, get an open space for your receiver. That's kind of what that tool is for. But people have always abused this, and you know, they'll use it in a way to where they can like automatically Playmaker a guy to get right where he wants him to go right when he snaps the ball, and it's hard to defend. Now, the Playmaker, the reason it's so good is because, similar to like a human joystick, when you have Playmaker, your player literally stops, cuts on a dime, and goes where you want him to go. When you don't have this ability, you can Playmaker receivers, but they're a little bit slower, they're a little bit sluggish, they're not like stopping on a dime, so it's not as effective. Now, the thing with Playmaker this year that's interesting is before, only wide receivers could get it, but now quarterbacks can actually get this. Certain quarterback archetypes, I believe improviser quarterbacks can get this, and that's huge because when a QB gets it, that means everybody on the offense gets it. It's kind of like having the hot route master for a QB. When the QB has hot route master, everybody on the offense gets additional hot routes. When the QB has Playmaker, anybody he Playmakers on the field is going to get that benefit. Now, this is going to be coming to Ultimate Team soon as well. I don't know if people have seen this in franchise yet. I haven't seen any cases of that yet, but there's going to be wide receivers. I think Torrey Holt can actually get it in Ultimate Team right now, but eventually QBs are going to get it. Now, this could completely change the landscape of how the game is played, because when you think of someone that's going to get Playmaker will likely be a player that can also have escape artist. So think of this. You have the ability to get outside of the pocket fast, and it's hard to chase you down, and you can also Playmaker receivers on the fly, on the run, to go right where you want them to go, stop on a dime. That could potentially change how this entire game is played. It could actually shift the meta even if it's powerful enough to where more people are opting to do that than actually running the ball, because this could actually be more of a pain to stop. Now, in terms of the regular roster, QBs that could potentially get this, I think this is wide open. I think they're going to bring this to the regular rosters as well once they start becoming unlocked in Ultimate Team, because they obviously still want the regular roster players to be able to have some of these abilities as well. So guys like Aaron Rodgers for sure I think could get this. Mahomes absolutely could get this, and definitely without a doubt Russell Wilson. Like, those are the three players. They're all improviser QBs. They're the three in my mind that I say would be the main guys that would get this on the regular roster. And that could, you know, the Packers aren't really like a powerhouse team this year in terms of Madden. They're not like a popular Madden choice because they don't really have a lot of like the abilities that people want. But the Chiefs and the Seahawks are two of the biggest ones because they both have escape artist QBs. They got some speed on the team and things like that. So if you give those guys a Playmaker at quarterback, that really changes the rosters. Now, another big one for QBs is Gunslinger, which we've only seen this in Ultimate Team previously. I think this is in franchise mode this year. But Gunslinger basically makes the ball come out faster, like, you know, like like just what it sounds like. Like the ball zips to the player. It gets to him much quicker. The velocity on it, you know, changes and things like that. And we've seen this like in certain years of Madden and Ultimate Team actually be very, very useful, especially like on deep bomb type plays where you're trying to fit that ball in there quick, and it decreases the amount of time that like a safety or somebody on the defense has to close out on that pass and make a play on it. Now, there's a lot of most of the QB archetypes can get Gunslinger. The only ones that can't get it are scramblers, you know, archetypes. So people like, you know, like Lamar Jackson wouldn't be able to get it, but it's going to be most useful, I think, on, again, like if you get it on those improviser type QBs like Mahomes or Rodgers, and those are the two names on regular rosters I think that could get this ability in an update. Those are really the only two I think would get it. But as far as Ultimate Team goes, again, you got those same type of guys, but then you got your field general guys like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, you know, in the pocket that can get it. This could potentially open the game up a lot as well, because routes this year, certain routes are hard to fit in there, especially when you have guys on defense with zoned out ability. You add Gunslinger to the mix, those type of throws aren't going to be able to be jumped by defenders, so that's going to be a big thing. Now, Jukebox, we've seen this obviously all year, but it's starting to become a thing that QBs can get. We just saw Lamar Jackson on the regular rosters get it. Lamar Jackson in franchise modes had it like all year. Like if you've had a Lamar Jackson in franchise mode, he's probably got jukebox like very quickly if you're a CFM player. But we could start seeing this come to a lot more QBs. And this is mainly Ultimate Team. I don't think any other QBs on the regular roster would get jukebox, but in Ultimate Team, you're going to start seeing guys like the next Michael Vick card might be able to get it, and things like that. So that's going to be something else to worry about, because when you have escape artists, you have guys that can scramble, and it's hard to catch them behind the line of scrimmage. And then when they pass the line of scrimmage, they have the ability to juke that first defender. It's just going to make a lot of these, as you're seeing, are going to make it very much hard on the defense. Another one that we're going to start seeing is called Tank. Now, I believe the only person that could get this currently in Ultimate Team is Rob Gronkowski. Correct me if I'm wrong. But this is something that is like mainly for tight ends, but also for running backs. I've seen running backs in CFMs get this. And basically what Tank is like, you can't hit stick these guys. They break hit stick tackles, which one of the most powerful abilities on defense this year are in the enforcers, the guys that lay those auto hit sticks and they cause fumbles. So imagine how the run game is now, and if you start adding tank running backs into that mix. These guys that you cannot, enforcers are useless against them. They're going to truck right through you. That could change the meta in a bad way too, because the run game's already powerful. Obviously, things like jukebox and spin cycle have taken a hit because with the recent update, if you're a user defender, you can't really get faked out. I mean, I've still seen it happen, but it's not happening nearly as much. So jukebox and spin cycle and evasive, those things have kind of come down a notch because user defenders are much more successful against them now. But now when the tank ability starts coming in, then what happens? Because now enforcers, secure tacklers, stuff like that, they're going to be able to like bounce off these guys. Now, there's going to be a lot of big bruisers that are going to get this in Ultimate Team, obviously. But I think on the regular rosters, a guy you could look at is Derrick Henry. I know Titans fans are mad that he just still isn't a superstar player. I don't get it myself personally. I thought he would be with this update, but with the next update, I think for sure he's going to get it. He would be the guy I think is perfect for that ability. He should also have the armbar ability as well, but that's not a new one, so not really like harping on that one. But if he gets the tank ability, you know, he's going to be hard to tackle. But in Ultimate Team, these other guys, you're going to start seeing like these really good big bruising backs come out, after Christmas time, the end of the year. You're going to start seeing, those in-game running backs and guys like this that you're not going to be able to hit stick, and that's going to be a problem. Now, in terms of tight ends, I think on the regular roster, I think this is something George Kittle could absolutely get. I think he fits this to a T. We've seen, we just saw a couple weeks ago what he did in the Saints game on that last play to win the game. The guy is a tank. So I think that's something you could expect to see coming soon. Couple other abilities, Lurker. We're going to start seeing a lot more Lurkers. I think the only person on regular rosters right now that has this is Deion Jones. Maybe some more people get this, but you're going to start seeing this mainly for linebackers. We've seen some safeties be able to get this in Ultimate Team, but when a lot more linebackers are able to get this, we're essentially going back to what happened last year where your linebacker can like ball hawk and pick off the ball from 10 yards away. That's really what Lurker does. Like they took it out of the game, but they brought it back by way of an ability. So hey, if you get a good enough player and you put this ability on them, now all that new ball trajectory and things like that, you have to be up on a guy to get interception, all that goes out the window, because you can literally, it's just like last year and the year before and the year before that, where you could pick off the ball from a bunch of yards away because that Lurker ability allows you to do that. More linebackers are going to be able to get this soon in Ultimate Team, like Ryan Shazier and people of that. There's already a couple I think to get it. I know Willie Lanier can get it. Obviously some safeties can get it, but once you start seeing more linebackers get it, I think you're going to see people start going back to the linebacker user, and we're going to start seeing everything that happened last year come back. So that's kind of how the game's about to change, especially if you're an Ultimate Team player, but even if you're a Regs player, I think they're going to start dripping more of these abilities throughout that mode as well. And if you're a franchise player, you've already seen a lot of these throughout the year. So the way the game's playing right now is going to change a lot, in the coming month to 2 months. So it's going to be the time where a lot of people probably put the game down because it gets too crazy, and it's going to be another time where people are just take part in the madness and go crazy with it. So let me know what you think below. As always, I will see you guys next time.